Over the last almost 2 years, I have got so many messages from so many of you asking me how you can get into the Big Four. And through today's video, I'm going to share with you why I actually quit my 2 jobs at the Big Four firms. Hi everyone, my name is Mehar and today is another chit chat over chai session with me. For those of you here for the first time, I make videos on all things related to careers, education, productivity, positivity, the works. And my chit chat over chai sessions are a little bit more casual and candid. So that's why I decided to make today's video a chit chat over chai session, because I want to be very open and honest with all of you regarding what were the reasons for me to actually quit that dream job everybody hopes to have, especially as a student of chartered accountancy. Before we begin, I just want to give a disclaimer, as I always do for these chit chat over chai sessions, is that these reasons are going to be just based on my personal experience. There's no right or wrong whether somebody should actually work at the Big Four. But I'm going to just share with you my story, my reasons of why I ended up making the decision of leaving the Big Four. So let me start right from the beginning. As a chartered accountancy student, you are expected to complete 3 years of articleship or training at an accountancy firm, and everybody dreams to get into the Big Four corporations because these are the best of the best, and that's what my dream was all about. I wanted to get through KPMG, and I've actually shared my experience of being called for an interview and cracking those interviews at KPMG in another video, which you can check out with the link above. So yeah, I was just 20 years old when I started working at KPMG as an article trainee. So as a trainee in the audit department, I was an audit assistant. First of all, I had no idea what auditing was. I was naive and young and confused. I was very excited to be a part of this big corporation because I had got this job on my own. Did not take help from any friends, family friends. It was on my own merit. So that really excited me and really pumped me and motivated me to give it my everything. I had decided I'm going to be the best employee ever, and I was just ready to take on the world. You know how you are that in your early 20s, as a young 20-year-old, I was just super enthusiastic. And that's what I feel most of you would be feeling before you join the Big Four. That is why so many of us actually have that dream, that vision of joining one of the big corporations. So everything started off very nicely. They had an orientation program where they run you through the culture, the values, the management of the company, the different types of departments there are. However, during my time, there was just one main orientation program for all departments. So I literally had no clue what auditing really was, except what I had really studied in my books. I did not know the practical application of audit until I actually got my very first project. So the day I joined the orientation program, I knew that once the orientation program was over, I was going to go join a senior executive at my very first project. So my very first project was already assigned to me. That first project went really well. I had the best experience with the best senior. She taught me many things, and even though I joined the project midway, I learned a lot at that project, even though it was basics of audit and trying to wrap my head around what really needs to be done and how to deal with clients. It was a short project, and even then it was a short project, but still I was just so excited to learn from this senior. Then the next project was very different in the sense it was far away from my home. It was with this senior who was very rude to me. When I asked her certain questions, she didn't tell me how things needed to be done. When I asked her questions on how I should do this, she got angry at me, she was rude to me, and it was just very unprofessional. And later during that course of that project, she actually absconded the project. So I was literally on that project on my own as a young 20-year-old, no experience whatsoever, facing the client. And that's when I realized not every senior is going to be as good as my first senior. And I was not even 2 months in at that time, but I was coming home crying every single day. I regretted my decision to join the Big Four already. Traveling far away from home to this project, to this client, and then coming home late at night without any support, without anyone to actually explain to you what are the different types of concepts and how is it that you need to conduct yourself at work, or how is it that you need to finish a piece of work. It all felt very unnatural to me because I had no experience. I was completely new. I didn't have the right kind of support. I didn't have the right kind of people to guide me. And it felt like, okay, I am now a part of the Big Four and I'm expected to know everything. Whereas that's not the case. You cannot know everything from day one. I was at the most junior level, but I didn't feel like I was a junior. I was never treated as a junior. I was expected to know everything. I was expected to be able to communicate to the client properly. I was expected to be able to conduct myself in a professional manner as well as complete everything on time. I think there was no proper handoff of how things need to be done. The only way for me to proceed was at that moment to keep calling my friends who were on other projects to ask them how is it that I can audit this area of work. In fact, the friends that I made during KPMG were the ones who provided the most amount of support to me. They were the ones I used to call all the time whenever I had a doubt, and even though they were on different projects, they told me how it needed to be done. So that's my number one point. I feel that was my number one con of working at the Big Four that really pushed me to becoming this person who had low self-confidence, someone who could not ask questions in a meeting, someone who could not rely on senior support. And that's something you don't want to face as such a young employee, as such a young professional. I felt really demotivated at that project, and that brings me on to the second reason why I decided to quit my job at the Big Four. And that was all around, the environment was very, very competitive. It was a little bit toxic in the sense, first of all, you're expected to work all the time because you're easily replaceable. And that's what I felt when it's such a big organization and there are so many employees and there are so many people wanting to get a seat at that organization. You feel like you're easily replaceable. And that's what I felt. I felt like if I don't do well, if I don't work late, if I don't give it my 120% every single day, I'm going to be thrown off this project. And then I will be unassigned, and that means when you don't have a project and you're just going to the office and doing all the daily routine work and not really contributing to any project in a fulfilling manner. Because the competition was so high, because there were so many trainees just like me, there were about 45 of us who had joined together at that time. And because I felt like I was constantly being compared to other people who were doing better than me at work, who were able to conduct themselves better, who were asking the right questions, who were speaking up in meetings, who were finishing their work on time. I just felt like I didn't belong. I really felt like I was not meant to be here. And that brings me on to the third reason why I decided to quit my Big Four job was I really did not enjoy audit. So auditing is something that we don't really think about as a young student, right? Nobody talks about what auditing is. So I had literally no idea what the duties of an auditor are. And for the first 1.5 years of working at KPMG, I was really excited. I was really pumped. I wanted to give it my all. I was motivated. I was hustling hard. But after that, I started questioning myself. I started thinking that, is this something that I want to do for the rest of my life? Do I see myself as an auditor 3 to 5 years from now? And the answer just kept coming back to me as no. No, Mehar, you're not meant to do this. You're meant to do something else. You're meant to apply your knowledge in some other way. But I've said this before and I'm going to say again that my learnings as an auditor were a lot. I learned a lot in those early years of my career. And I really learned the nitty-gritties of the financial statements and business processes and how the whole organization works together. But that was it. That was all I felt I could learn. I felt like I had peaked my learning. I felt like it started getting to me. It felt monotonous. I just wasn't enjoying it anymore. So when on a daily basis you start dreading your work, you know you're not at the right job, you're not in the right organization, or you're not in the right position. So that started to, really affect my mental health. And I kept thinking about my future, and I kept thinking about why is it that it's not the right fit for me? Why is it that I'm not enjoying my work? Why am I the odd one out? And I think I just realized then that maybe I'm not meant to do this. And that's why I wanted to just finish my chartered accountancy exams and do a more general degree and a more practical degree like an MBA. And I've talked about that in another video where I list all the reasons why I wanted to do an MBA degree. Thinking about what auditing really was, I knew that once I clear my exams, this is not something that I want to do long term. And that brings me on to the fourth reason. There was no work-life balance. We had to work long hours. and the pay did not make up for it. Yes, my friends, I didn't feel like I was being compensated enough for the hours that I was putting in. The deadlines are always tight and rigid, but the pay scales just don't match up. I remember I was making like 10,000 rupees a month in my first year as an article, and I was working around 60 to 70 hours a week. And this is just me. There were people who were working way more hours than me. So as a chartered accountancy student, you are just a trainee. So you're not an actual employee at the organization. So you're not compensated as an employee. You're compensated as an intern or as a trainee. So for me, that having no work-life balance as well as not being paid enough just didn't add up. I felt like I deserved more. My mental health started really suffering because as a CA student, we had classes in the morning, and in the evening you would always have to come back home from work and study. So it was just very tiring, very exhausting. I remember my health really started to suffer. Always wanted to just quit. There were so many days I came home crying, just wanting to quit, and my parents really supported me at that time. They wanted me to at least finish the degree and then think of quitting. So for me, the long hours and the high pressure just didn't add up. Especially in a field that I was not interested in the long term. So what I'm trying to say is that when something isn't right for you, you don't have to stick around just for the sake of it. Please do what you want to do. Recognize the signs. You'll know when something is not meant for you. You'll know when something isn't right. You'll know when you're meant to do something else. So if you are getting those signs, my friends, please make sure that you pay attention to them. I literally was counting down the days when I would be a chartered accountant and I would be able to do whatever I want. And that brings me on to the last point, my friend, and that is all about the politics and the culture within the firm. Now, every Big Four is different, but I'm just going to talk to you about my experience working at KPMG as well as Ernst & Young, and both were in India and in the Gurgaon office. And I worked across audit and risk advisory, and the culture just didn't feel right. There was just so much of politics, gossiping, bickering behind each other's backs, and it made me think, like, if these people are talking about other people like this, are they talking about me? And I did not want to be in an environment where we were just made fun of, mocked in public. There was a time when I was at a meeting and the partner made fun of me in front of everyone. And I can't tell you, my friends, how much I had to really control my tears. I literally ran to the bathroom that very moment and cried my heart out. I literally cried for 5-10 minutes. I called my mom from the washroom and I just wanted to leave. I just wanted to leave that day. I felt so helpless. I felt so stuck. I was just, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little emotional. Just feels like so long ago, but when I think about it, it's still so fresh in my memory. There were constant politics. You know, if you wanted to get promoted, if you wanted to get recognized, you would always need to keep promoting yourself to somebody who was senior to you. So you know how they say you have to have 1 or 2 godmothers or godfathers within the firm to move up the levels of the management. And that's something I didn't do. I could not keep trying to impress 1 or 2 managers so that they recognize how good I am or they recognize that I'm hardworking. It was just not the right fit for me. And I remember there was literally so much of politics that if there was a deadline or if there was a problem during the project, you could not take any days off. So even if you were sick, people didn't believe that you were sick. The culture was just so toxic that you didn't have anybody for support. You didn't have any friends as such, because the people who are at your grade, you are being compared to. And the people who are senior to you sometimes don't provide that right amount of support. So I literally felt like the odd one out. I felt like I didn't belong. I felt alone, depressed. I felt anxious and stressed all the time. I felt like I put so much pressure on myself. I literally could not wait for the day that I cleared my exams and I left the audit department at a Big Four for good. But I made another mistake, my friends. Once I cleared my exams, I did end up quitting KPMG, but I made the mistake to join Ernst & Young in risk advisory. And that was, I think, looking back now, I did learn a lot what risk advisory was all about, but I really wish that I had believed in myself and kept doing something that was truly my calling, was more aligned to what I wanted to do in the long term. even though I worked there only for about 5 to 6 months, those 5 to 6 months right before I left for my MBA were very, very draining, were very, very hectic, very stressful. I wish I had taken some time to relax before I went for my MBA. I wish I had given my mental health a priority. Yeah, you know, when you're young and when you're so inspired and motivated and ready to give it your all, you don't think about these things. Looking back now, I wish I was a little bit more brave. I wish I was bold. I wish I had the courage to speak up. I wish I had the courage to quit when I needed to. And I think that's the lesson from my journey for all of you. I hope you find something that you truly love to do, and don't be in a job just because you're supposed to be in it. Even as a chartered accountancy student, you can join a mid-sized firm. Don't always have that big dream of working at the Big Four. The grass is always greener on the other side, and life works out. So whether you're a part of the Big Four or not, something is going to work out for you. Believe in yourself. And it has taken me so long to come out of my shell because those first few years in my early 20s were supposed to be my foundational years of building my self-confidence. But since I did not have the right amount of support, since I felt like I was always competing with other people, since the work environment was so toxic, and since I did not enjoy audit, my self-confidence over the years really fell. And I really had to develop my confidence on my own, and I'll talk about that in another video, how I've actually built my confidence over the years. And I think I just want to tell you, there is no right or wrong of choosing one type of a career path. You have to know what is right for you. If you are someone who thrives in a competitive environment, if you are someone who loves auditing, then it may be the right fit for you. But if you are someone who is in a Big Four job right now and you're suffering and you are just neglecting your mental health and it's not for you, please recognize those signs and do something that is more aligned to who you truly are and what you really want to do. That's it, my friends. I'm sorry if this video was emotional or heavy, but I wanted to be completely honest with you. I think I have reached a point in my YouTube journey where I can be more candid and more me. So I hope you found this relatable, and let me know in the comments if you agree with me. I'll be back soon with another video, but until then, stay true to yourself, work hard, but take care of your mental health. I hope to see you soon. Bye.